Meghan Markle posted a bizarre video on her social media. It is the cringiest, most uncomfortable.
It has drawn a lot of attention to the controversies surrounding her kids.
1 month, 2 months, 3 months, hit the baby mama when I step into.
There was supposed to be a moment that ended everything. One single video that would shut down the rumors, silence the whispers, make everyone feel foolish for ever questioning it in the first place. A hospital room, music playing, Meghan Markle dancing, smiling, visibly pregnant. Moving around like this was the ultimate proof. The message couldn't have been clearer if it tried. Look at this. It's real. I was pregnant. End of story. Except it didn't end anything. If anything, it did the opposite. Instead of calming people down, it made them lean in closer. It made them rewind, zoom, rewatch, and ask questions they hadn't asked before. Because when something is meant to feel authentic, but instead feels staged, it sticks out. And now, out of nowhere, there's a woman who says she's done watching from the shadows. A woman who says while the world was being shown one version of motherhood, she was living the real one, alone, hidden, silent, and she's claiming she's the one who carried both children. Archie, Lilibet. Both of them, for years, nobody heard her voice, not because she didn't have one, but because she was told not to use it. According to her, silence wasn't optional. It was part of the deal. She says she was brought into this through a high-level agency most people don't even know exists. Not some website, not some open listing, something quiet, discreet, professional. The kind of operation designed so nothing ever leaks. And once she agreed, her entire life disappeared overnight. No phone, no family, no friends, no outside contact. Just doctors, appointments, rules, and walls. Total isolation. Imagine being pregnant twice and not being able to tell anyone how you're feeling. No one checking in. No hand to hold. No one celebrating you. Just instructions. Just compliance. Just waiting. She says the expectations were laid out clearly. Carry the pregnancies. Follow every instruction. Ask no questions. And when the babies were born, disappear. No role afterward. No acknowledgement. No connection. Just erase yourself like you were never there, like those months never happened.
Created a really big mess of Archie's birth, quite frankly, and the pregnancy as well.
And here's the part that makes your stomach turn. She says it was all planned down to the smallest detail. Written agreements, structured arrangements. Not chaotic. Not sloppy. Precision. Control, not about cruelty, but about outcome. One outcome only. Babies delivered. Story intact. Nobody outside a tiny inner circle ever knowing the truth. She stayed quiet. She watched everything unfold from wherever she was kept. And while she was living the physical reality, another reality was being broadcast to the world. Cameras, appearances, headlines, smiles. A glowing pregnancy narrative everyone was meant to consume without question. 2 timelines, 2 women, 1 public, 1 erased. While she dealt with nausea, exhaustion, body changes, medical monitoring, Meghan was out there being celebrated. Hand on the bump. Photographers clicking, people praising her glow, speculating on names, applauding her strength. And that contrast, that wasn't accidental. That was the plan. Think about how brutal that must feel. Going through pregnancy completely alone while watching someone else receive all the love, attention, and recognition that usually belongs to the woman actually carrying the child. No baby shower, no congratulations, no family excitement, just silence and walls.
This is all part of Meghan's sinister plan to commercialize her children to pimp.
According to DL, this was never about fairness. It was about image, about maintaining the perfect visual story. No complications. No messiness, no vulnerability, just a seamless public journey into motherhood. Every appearance calculated, every outfit chosen carefully, every angle controlled. The bump always looking exactly how it was supposed to look for whatever stage the public believed she was in. And here's where people started noticing things. Little things at first. The bump looking too big one day, too low the next, sitting strangely, moving, oddly, not flowing like skin. Muscle, but folding, creasing, stiff in moments when it shouldn't be. Nothing dramatic on its own, but patterns start forming when you line everything up. Side-by-side images, event timelines, screenshots, people rewinding footage. Watching how it behaved when she stood, sat, bent, or turned. The inconsistencies stacked up, and DL says there's a reason for that. She claims professional-grade prosthetic bellies were used, custom-made, designed to fool cameras and distance. Not cheap props. Realistic enough for photos, less forgiving when movement and lighting weren't perfect. If you're going to present a public pregnancy while someone else is actually carrying the child, you need something like that. Every appearance had to match the timeline exactly. 6 months meant 6-month belly. 8 months meant 8-month belly. And as long as everything stayed controlled, it worked until real life interfered. Then came the video, the hospital footage, the one meant to end the conversation. But here's the thing nobody can ignore. That video didn't come out during the pregnancy. It came out after. After whispers started. After people began questioning things publicly. And timing matters. When you release proof before doubt exists, people accept it. When you release it after doubt takes hold, people scrutinize it. Frame by frame. Movement by movement. And instead of reassuring anyone, it raised more questions. The lighting was perfect. The framing intentional. The music added. It felt produced, planned, and authenticity rarely looks rehearsed. Why did it need to exist at all? Royal pregnancies have protocols, announcements, doctors, documentation, confirmation. None of that requires a special video to convince the public. So when someone suddenly feels the need to prove something, people start asking why. Then there were the birth records, and this is where things get uncomfortable. Meghan's legal name wasn't listed. Not Rachel Meghan Markle, just her title, Duchess of Sussex. And that's not how birth certificates work. Titles don't give birth. People do. Names matter. And when a name is replaced with a title, it creates distance, confusion, a buffer. Nobody took responsibility for it. Palace sources pointed one way. Meghan's side pointed the other. Nobody explained why. And DL says it wasn't a mistake. It was intentional because it muddies the trail. Makes things harder to trace if questions ever come up. And then there was the absence of standard royal procedures. No doctors on the steps. No immediate verification. No traditional confirmation process. All explained away as privacy. But privacy doesn't usually involve altering records or skipping systems designed to verify truth. According to DL, when questions were raised privately, they weren't answered. They were shut down. And then comes the claim that changes everything. She says Prince Harry knew from the beginning. Not later, not accidentally. He knew. She says he visited her, acknowledged her role, and after the births, she claims he wrote her a handwritten thank you note. If that's true, this wasn't something done to him. It was something he participated in. And that matters, because these children's positions, titles, and status depend on circumstances of birth. This isn't just personal drama. It has implications far beyond feelings. Now, none of this is the children's fault. They didn't choose any of it. They're innocent. But when adults make choices that affect institutions built on lineage and documentation, questions don't disappear just because they're uncomfortable. And here's the loudest part of all. Silence. Harry and Meghan haven't said a word. No denial. No clarification. Nothing. And this is a couple that has responded quickly and aggressively to things they felt were unfair. Silence, in this case, isn't calm. It's calculated. Or it's fear. Meanwhile, DL is speaking. She says she has documentation, medical records, ultrasounds, written agreements. She's agreed to DNA testing, public testing, verifiable testing. That's not vague accusation behavior. That's let's prove it behavior. And when one side offers verification and the other says nothing, the silence starts to feel like its own answer. Right now, behind the scenes, conversations are happening. Quiet ones, serious ones. Because if any of this is verified, it doesn't just affect two people. It affects a narrative that millions believed. A story carefully built and maintained through silence. DL says she's done being invisible. Done protecting a story that erased her. Done watching someone else live her truth in public while she stayed hidden. And if what she claims holds up, this won't be remembered as gossip. It'll be remembered as the moment a perfectly polished story cracked. Because silence only works when everyone agrees to keep it. And one woman doesn't anymore. And that's the part people keep missing. Silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. Silence is usually what comes right before something breaks. Because when someone who was never supposed to speak suddenly starts offering proof, document, testing, timelines, names and receipts, staying quiet stops being a neutral move. It becomes a gamble. DL isn't whispering anymore. She's not hinting. She's not saying maybe or I think. She's saying this happened. This is how it happened, and this is what I have to show it. And that changes the energy completely, because gossip survives on ambiguity. Proof destroys it. And right now, she's daring anyone to test her story, instead of dismissing it. What makes this whole situation heavier is the way it reframes everything people thought they understood. Moments that once looked celebratory now feel staged. Smiles that once felt joyful now feel performative. That hospital video that was meant to be comforting suddenly feels defensive. And when people go back and rewatch things with fresh eyes, it's not just the bump or the timing that feels off. It's the emotion, the detachment. The way things felt more like a presentation than a lived experience. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. Institutions built on image depend on people not asking too many questions. They rely on tradition, respect, and the assumption that what you're being shown is real. Most of the time, that works. People don't want to doubt. They want to believe. They want the story to be simple. But once doubt enters, once someone says, wait, something doesn't add up, the illusion becomes fragile. DL says she lived in isolation while the world applauded someone else for motherhood. And whether people believe her or not, that claim alone hits a nerve, because it taps into something deeply human. Being erased, being used, being told your role doesn't matter as long as the outcome looks right. That's not just royal drama. That's a power story. And power stories don't disappear quietly. What's also striking is how carefully everyone else seems to be choosing their words now. No bold denials, no confident rebuttals, just distance, delay, waiting. Almost like everyone's watching to see which way the wind blows before they commit to anything. That's not how you act when something is easily disproven. That's how you act when you're unsure what might come out next. And DL has made it clear she's not backing down. She says she's already lived through the worst part. The isolation, the silence, the erasure. Speaking up now, no matter how ugly it gets, is still better than disappearing again. And that's what makes her dangerous to a carefully maintained narrative. Not because she's loud, but because she's steady. She's not panicking. She's not scrambling. She's offering verification. At some point, the quiet from the other side stops feeling strategic and starts feeling exposed. Because the longer nothing is said, the more people assume there's nothing safe to say. And once that perception takes hold, it's almost impossible to undo. Every delay becomes suspicious. Every absence of response becomes its own message. And again, the children remain the most tragic part of all this. They didn't choose the circumstances. They didn't choose secrecy or spectacle or silence. They're just living their lives while adults debate the truth of how they arrived in the world. That alone makes this whole situation feel heavier than typical celebrity drama, because this isn't just about reputation. It's about identity. So now everything is paused in this strange, tense moment. One side speaking louder with each passing day, the other saying nothing at all. And silence, no matter how carefully managed, is not a permanent solution. It's a countdown. Eventually, someone responds. Or the silence itself becomes the final statement. And when that happens, whatever truth exists won't care about comfort, timing, or damage control. It'll surface anyway. Because stories built on control only survive as long as nobody breaks rank. And once that happens, once even one voice steps out of line, everything people thought was solid suddenly starts to feel very, very fragile. And that's where things stand right now. Not at the end, not even close. Just at the moment where the quiet feels heavier than any accusation ever could.